Welcome to the Become Sensible podcast, where we discuss practical accounting, finance, and tax for everyday business. I'm your host, Fiona, and I'm here to show you that no matter what your business financial situation is, you can change it. Good morning. Welcome to another episode on Become Sensible. My name is Fiona. I am your host. So today, let's diving in a very hot topic that is how to file your back taxes. And before to diving into this topic, I'm excited to announce with you all a new series because there's so many cases and real clients and potential clients come to us, ask questions, and want us to give a practical solution and answer. So we have decided that turn all of these questions, like hundred of questions, to be series. Like 2 times a month, we will have a real case study, question and answers. And I'm excited to introduce my new co-host. His name is An, and he's on my team. And we will discuss all of these real case and give you a practical answer for your situation. So here you go. Welcome on to the show.
Hello, everyone. Like you said, my name is An. I'm really excited to be part of this, and I hope you guys are too, because you will be seeing a lot more of me moving forward because this will be a running series for us. So yeah, today we're going to talk about back taxes. I know this is something that a lot of freelancers and business owners worry about all the time. And this is pulled from a case that Fiona has worked on recently.
Yeah.
And let's just say the client's name is Samantha. And Samantha runs a graphic design agency where she hasn't filed her taxes in 3 years. So I think the first question Samantha would ask you is where she would start.
So, when you have a lot of tax year that you haven't done yet, it's always smart to start the oldest tax year first. There's 2 reasons. The number 1 reason is if you have an operating loss, you can carry forward to the years after that easily, better than you do backward carrying. The number 2 is the IRS always calculate interest and penalty on the tax due. And so if you have an oldest year, you will have a lot of penalty and interest. So you should take care of it first so that it will save you and cut you in terms of penalty and interest on the tax due.
Okay, that makes sense. So someone who doesn't have any bookkeeping at all, who hasn't been keeping up with their books, is it something they can handle themselves, or should they seek a professional, or where would you get started on that?
So I think it depends a lot on your situation. If you have a lot of transaction, you have a big team, you have a revenue, at least $200,000 a year, I would suggest that you use a accounting software and you can have your professional bookkeeper or CPA team that help you to catch up with these. Nowadays, accounting software like QuickBooks or Waiver, it has the AI function in it. So the first bunch of the batch of transaction for the first couple months is a lot of manually because it's the first time you do those things. But once you set it in, the AI can memorize some recurring transaction, and that have the catch up in the months after that is easier. But if you have a small team or you have just only yourself and you make $100,000 or $200,000 in revenue, and there's not a lot of transaction, we can show you how to catch up and code the transactions through CSV or expresses. So it depends a lot in specific situation, how is your revenue and how is the volume of transaction in your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the process of learning how to code from the CSV, from the bank statement, is fairly simple.
Yeah.
I've seen other clients and myself learn it within 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So it is really simple. I think I just wanted to know more about the general process. Like after you gather all your 1099s and your receipts, what are the next steps for that?
So normally, of course, if you work directly with us, we have the checklist. all the common like form, tax form from the government and anything that we need from you. So normally you can bring it out in the PDF. You just check whether you have these things. You can collect it. And nowadays, most of the tax forms is available online. So you can download it and send it to us. The second thing is like whether you have a bookkeeping done, which is will give you the profit and loss and the balances, and depends on the entity of your business, whether you're single member LLC, you're sole proprietor, partnership, a C corporation, and S corporation. Normally, C corporation, S corporation, or partnership, we would need a balance sheet to finish your tax return. So after this basic information come to us, we put it into the return. We call it a draft return. And from there, we look at the transaction. We say, okay, whether you have this kind of deduction, that is after we have a draft, we will give you a bunch of questions to verify additional information. But normally the process is quick. Normally it takes around like 7 to 10 days for us to give you a draft. And from there, we depends on your situation. It's just a couple days more to verify add additional information. So once you started the process, pretty fast and smooth. But I think the hardest part for many business owners is the overwhelming. Like now you just need to start is number one. Number two is sometimes they feel shameful and like embarrassing that they need to admit that they in this situation. But as like a professional, I totally like see a lot of these happen. And I mean like we human beings, there's some periods in our life and our business, thing happens. And so I always say the best time that you do things right yesterday, and the second best time is today. So if you decide, the matter is whether you decide to do it correctly. If you decided, things will get easier, I think.
Yeah. I think the saying is better late than never,
Yeah.
especially in this case.
Yeah.
I think a lot of clients come in, they're feeling very anxious, and this is like something that has been weighing down on them for a while.
Yeah.
Especially because this comes with a pretty heavy price tag sometimes. So the IRS would usually have penalties for you for these situations, and there would be interest as well. So could you explain how that usually works? Like, how does the penalties work and what you should be doing because you're already behind?
Yeah. So I know in the episode we talk about estimated tax. Basically, government expect you to pay tax on time, regardless what happened in your life or in your business. And that is like a obligation. But of course, if you didn't file tax and you have the balance dues, they always charge you penalty and interest on like the number of outstanding days that you haven't filed tax return, and they also have the penalty called fail to file return. So that is they will calculate and they have a schedule of it. But of course, there's some like situation. I have a specific client that coming in and her reverse accountant suddenly like passed away. And she couldn't like pull all the information out of that because he passed away. And so we actually wrote a letter to the IRS to ask for waiving the situation, and they actually wait for it. So it depends on the situation a lot. But of course, if there's no disaster, no something that unexpected, it's very hard for us to ask waiving interest penalty from the IRS. Most of the time, they expect us to file on time, and if not, they calculate. And that is why if we know that we can't get waiving for you interest and penalty, the best way is start right away. And so that you can reduce the number of outstanding day that you didn't file tax and pay the tax. So it's reduced for you in terms of penalty and interest.
Yeah. So it is pretty unlikely that you will get it waived or like the IRS would forgive it. So what should you do to deal with the penalty right away?
So find the oldest tax year first. That's outstanding. You need to find that first because that will have like the longest periods in outstanding, and they calculate based on the periods of outstanding. And so find that tax year first. And then after that, you run over. But always like start. If you decided that you need to face this situation, face it at once, and then like get it done right away so that you can have everything caught up. I have a lot of clients have a similar situation. They come in like couple years that they haven't filed tax. But one of the things that I notice is there's some people they just give up in the middle and that will cost you a lot of time and money. So make sure that you make a decision that you move forward and do it right away. Focus. The process itself is not hard, but it's we accountant, we depends a lot on your side to give us information. Without information, we can't do anything at all. Like even we try to help you, but that's your part too.
And I think it's important to file your taxes right away because usually there are certain deductions and
Yeah.
write-offs that could help you save on your
Yeah.
balance as well, right?
Yeah, right away, yes. And I mean, if you file it right away, you save in terms of penalty and interest, but it also just block you in terms of like many different things. And one of the thing is like some work situation that I have seen is like government putting on your social security or your EIN. You can't do anything after that. You can't open a bank account. You can't do anything after that. And so don't ever put you in that situation so that it's very hard to like take you away out of it. So make sure that you do things right and do it on time and try the best that you can and don't push the case into the work situation. So sometimes they put a link on your social security or your EIN, and sometimes they automatically come into your bank account and withdraw the money out because you owe so many years you haven't filed a tax return. So that's just my advice.
Wow. Yeah. I did not know that it can get that serious.
Yeah,
Where
it is.
they just come in and like take charge of your situation as well.
Yeah, they do because like everything like tied to your social security, and so regardless 10 bank accounts that you open, they actually know it. Whether they want to go after it or not, that's is on their side. But don't ever put yourself in that situation because this thing gets serious and costs more of the money to solve it.
Right. Yeah, and I think just being prepared in general is a pretty big part of this. Speaking of, I think you were talking about bookkeeping a lot. Would you say it is significantly easier to deal with the situation if your books are already in order?
Yeah, it is, especially in the business tax return, because in business tax return, we always need a profit and loss. So we need to like break down all the spend by spend lines to take the deduction for you in the business tax return, regardless whether that is Schedule C for a single member LLC or a partnership as corporation C corporation. So if you have a bookkeeping done, it means that you code all the transactions that go to your bank account every single day or every week or every month. It pulled together for you the profit and loss and the balancing and it break it down. So we as the CPA, we just take that information and put it into the return as the draft return. It moves pretty quick. But if you don't have the bookkeeping done and caught up, it takes time for you to cut up, and it depends a lot in like the volume of the transaction that you have in the business too.
Right.
Some if you have a lot of transaction, it takes months to get it caught up and do the bookkeeping as more often as possible is number one. Number two is bookkeeping help you because you do it very often. You do it yourself or like a bookkeeper or accounting company do it for you or your finance team do it for you. It help you to like catch all of the expense. Some people like just spend it from personal and forgot to get reimbursed. Like so many transactions that you can miss. And if you miss the transaction, you miss the deduction. And there's no way we at the CPA know that, okay, you spend like $1,000 or $5,000 somewhere on your personal credit card at all unless you give us the information. And so it's faster if you have a bookkeeping done to file the tax return. And number two is save a lot of money in terms of tax because you itemize all the deduction and expense lines in your profit and loss on time.
Right. Yeah. So on the same topic of bookkeeping, right now it's already October.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty close to the end of the year, and we'll have to do our taxes again
Yeah.
next year. Um, I think it's pretty common that a lot of business owners like don't know, like haven't started the year bookkeeping already, and now
Yeah.
they're like 10 months in, and they have zero bookkeeping. What would you say those people should do now? And are there like services for them, or like
Yeah.
what can they do themselves?
Yeah, like again, the best time that you started to do anything is yesterday, but the second time is today. But I mean, like, it depends a lot in how many transactions that you have in your business situation. If you like have a small team or just only yourself, sole proprietors, and you make like $100,000 or $200,000 a year, then the number of transactions is not gonna be like so much complicated, and we can help you show you how to catch up with in like spreadsheet. But if you have a sizable team and you have a payroll tax and benefits, so many transactions going on with your business, the best way is has an accounting software, and you can hire us as professional or bookkeepers or someone help you with like get it caught up. I think the hardest part is the first like 2-3 months because these accounting software don't recognize the recurring transaction yet. But once you caught up the first couple months, it's easy to move forward because nowadays accounting software have an AI function into it. And so I think just start it.
Yeah.
That is probably the hardest part in all things like related to finance, and I think like most of the time in life too. It's just a matter whether you decided to start it, and once you do it, there are always solutions.
Mhm. It's the hardest part to get started, and then the easy part is just comes after, where you just have to maintain it and then moving forward.
Yes. And the maintaining part is actually not hard at all because everything like now, the volume transaction every month is smaller size unless, of course, your business is rapid growing. But once it's rapid growing, is also you have the team go with your growth too. So it's not going to be like harder after the first step that you caught up everything at all.
Yeah. I think that's all the questions that's specific to Samantha's case.
Yes.
We still have some very common questions that other business owners has submitted to you, and we've seen other people ask online as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna rapid fire these questions to you
Yes.
and then see what your answers are.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one, we're gonna go with, how long do I have to fix this before the IRS comes after me?
So it depends. Again, it depends on your situation a lot. If you make a lot of money, wonderful that you make a lot of money, but then it's become like as a noticeable situation for the IRS. They always want to go after the case that they can make the most in terms of tax. So if the more money you make, unfortunately, they will come after you faster. So if you make more money, make sure that you file the tax on time and don't wait for being like late in filing at all.
Yeah. So it definitely scales with the amount that you make. And then, can I set up a payment plan with the IRS if I owe them money?
Yes, you always can. After you file the tax return, there's the balance dues, and they have the function for you to set up the payment plan. But again, the IRS will not give you a payment plan without interest. They have a schedule of interest, and it's like a sizable interest rate. So just make sure that, okay, if you can pay up the balance, pay off, so you don't need to pay interest on top of the tax, and save a percentage of your earning to make sure that you file the tax and pay tax on time.
Right. And then, what if I don't have all my receipts and records? How do I estimate my income or my expenses?
This is very interesting questions because in tax, we don't call estimated income and expense at all. You can estimate the tax payment, but you cannot estimate the income and expense. The reason why is nowadays like everything transaction go to the bank account. You don't get paid by cash at all. So if like you have a small size of cash transaction, maybe you estimate it because you don't know, but don't say that because it's not gonna be like reasonable at all. You're supposed to get track record of everything that you make. And so it needs to be precisely correct. And anything goes to the bank, any cash transaction, it needs to be correct. We can't estimate it our income at all. The word estimate is a little bit like dangerous in that situation because they would think that you intentional, like under report your income, and that would be like create a real serious situation. So make sure that if you earn and make the money beside deposit into your bank account or beside get the check, paycheck, you need to make sure that you have a track record for other type of earnings through like cash or something that you don't have a receipt.
How far back can the IRS audit me if I haven't filed in a few years?
So the word audit, people use this in so many situations, but if you haven't filed tax, they not audited you, but they basically, the word audit is mean that you've already filed a tax return and they want a backup documents to show the backup for what you report. That is called audit. But if you haven't filed tax return, they would not audit because there's nothing for them to audit. But what they do is they basically like automatically file a tax return for you by grace. Wonderful of them. They file a tax return based on the 1099 or other income that report under your social security or your EIN. They file it automatically for you without take any deduction. And then they will send you a bill. They say, okay, and because of no deduction, no credits, it end up make you owe a lot of tax. And this is why so many people receive the bill like $1 million in tax bill, but because there's no deduction, no credit, and that's the situation. So they can go back how many years that you haven't like filed a tax return. They go back, they file for you, and they send you the bill.
So this is why it's usually pretty important to file the amended version, just so you can get the deductions.
Yeah. So after they file it for yourself, for you send the bill, you basically need to file amended return to basically get the deduction going to it and the credit going to it. So it changes the balance on your situation.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move on to this next questions. This next section, I like to call embarrassing question. So it's questions for those who does not have that much experience with accounting or like taxes, like myself maybe. Okay, so is the IRS going to throw me in jail for not filing taxes for a few years?
It's so funny that we say it's embarrassing. There's nothing to say embarrassing because if you tell me anything about engineers or about like marketing or like something like creative, maybe I don't actually know much. So there's nothing to be embarrassing to ask the question is number one. Number two, will they put you into the jail? Jail only happen if you commit fraud in terms of tax. It means that you intentionally don't report your income or like under report your income, or you intentionally like take the deduction that you actually didn't have. And that is like commit fraud, and then that's you going to a serious situation. Otherwise, if you didn't file a tax return, it's more like civilization in the situation. So just make sure that you caught up in your return.
Yeah, so it does not get that serious.
Yes.
Will I be judged if I tell my accountant I haven't filed in like a lot of years, something crazy?
I mean, it depends on the accountants. To be honest, it's like human things. For me, I actually see a lot of situations that many people haven't filed tax for years. And I mean, like we humans, thing happens. You don't know what to do, or you were so busy, you were overwhelming, or whatever reason. Like put you in that situation. I totally understand it. As long as you decided that you caught up, you decided that you will make things correct from now on moving forward. That is the most important. I think in my experience too, I see so many situations that people give up in the halfway. The process itself is not hard. But if you give up, you don't give us professional information, there's no way that I can do anything at all. Like, there's no way. I cannot make up your deduction. I cannot make up your income. So we need your commitment to move forward with the process. And I see so many people, sometimes they gave up, and it's make them into more serious situation. And so don't let things get worse.
Yeah. I think if you take anything out of today's session with us, is that try not to put things off. These things can feel pretty nerve wracking and it can be like weighing on your back very heavily. But I think it's always just to put your pride aside and face the problem now rather than later, because it can get very serious very fast if you don't deal with it.
Yeah, it is. And there always way to solve the problem if you decided to move forward. So I hope that you make that decision to move forward.
It will get better.
Yeah, it will get better.
But I think that's all the questions that we have for today. Moving forward, if you guys have any other questions that you feel like we could answer for you, definitely leave them in the comments. There are so many questions and people of all levels of experience have asked us, and we've dealt with clients of so many different kinds.
Yeah. And we welcome all the question and feedback from you all, because the purpose of our podcast is to be like more practical and relevant and helpful for you as the business owners or in your business journeys. And so thank you so much for your time tuning today. And we cannot wait to see you in the next couple episodes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.